Hi Cancer, welcome to your week ahead tarot with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Cancer, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your key to the week this week, you've got the Tower card. So my lunar brothers and sisters, don't worry, I know what you're thinking, like really Raph, but remember all planets are direct this week, and so the Tower card actually represents a moment, not only a moment of clarity, but there is a potential. When I was putting this on the board, I was like, yes. This week, my dear Cancerians, it looks like a lot of you are going to be rushing. All right, and you know, it makes sense. We've got all planets direct. It's like we've been waiting for this. It's finally here. This is going to be amazing. And we're all jumping straight in head first, which is wonderful because we're ready to start moving. We're ready to start making things happen, which is beautiful. But the challenge that you have with this, and because it is the Tower after all, in that process, what happens when you rush? When you're little, what do people say to you? Don't run while you're holding the cup. Don't run while you're holding the plate, especially not with cutlery, etc. This is why this week, yes, all planets are direct. Yes, it's time to move forward. Yes, it's time to get things going. It's time to get to the grind, right? This is where the work really begins. But it's the Tower, and so your message is that in all of these different sectors, if you try to force it, if you try to do it too quickly, you're going to set fire to it. All right, and this is why I want you, for you Cancerians, you know, this is my moon sign, so I have a lot of love for my Cancerians. Yes, I'm a little biased, but so what? You know, so I'm going to say, like, you just try not to go too fast. All right, what happens when you go too fast anyway? You get friction burn for your actions and for your actions and options this week. You've got the Knight of Swords, right? So this coupled with the Tower, there is a potential this week, and I'm going to say this, and I say this out of all love, courtesy, care and respect. This week, when people say to you, you're being a little bit aggressive, it is you, all right? This is, you know me, I will defend you guys to the nth degree. The Knight of Swords in the actions and options, you are all in, right? With the Tower card, that's potentially the way that you come across this week is a little bit full on, right? So you could just be like, well, I just feel really excited. And people are receiving you like you're like this. And you're like, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's going to kill me or he's going to murder me. Or do you know what I mean? So you need to just take, sorry, I know I've just blown out somebody's eardrums. And I'm really sorry. But this week you are coming across as a little bit strong. Okay, so just keep that in mind because it can come across as aggressive. And with this combination, woe betide the person that pisses you off this week. I feel for them. Outside of that, this could also be that you're overloading your plate. So maybe you put way too many things in the diary and you end up kind of maybe only doing half of them and not really very well. All right, this week, really, you do need to prioritize your time a little more. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Justice card, especially underneath the Tower. Watch out for any contractual negotiations and watch out for things getting out of hand. If you've already got legal proceedings going on right now, and when I say this as well, don't panic. It doesn't always mean that you're being sued or, you know, you're getting arrested or whatever. Sometimes it can literally be, you know, maybe you're in the process of buying a house. That's a legal proceeding. Whatever legal proceedings you do have going on at the moment, do expect those plans to be subject to change, all right? And there's nothing wrong with that. We've just ended the Mars and Mercury retrograde. So whatever needs to be renegotiated or looked at this moment in time, it's not broken, but it does need readjusting now that we're seeing it in the cold light of day. All right. Now, that being said, because you've got the Justice card in your communication sector, especially with the Knight of Swords, it's like, because the Justice card is Libra ruled, right, which is about conflict resolution. And I kind of feel like this is like, you know, if you've fallen out with someone and you're like, we are going to get through this together. We are going to heal this together. And they're kind of like, oh my gosh, are you having a breakdown? It might come across as that, right? You might be so intent on fixing something that you end up actually breaking it. So just be careful with that. You are deeply committed, or you're willing to talk about the things that you are committed to this week. But they might shift, they might change. And, you know, anything where we're working with other people, the other person can change their mind. So just be mindful of that. Now, when it comes, you will be my friend. Okay. Sorry, I'm having way too much fun, quite clearly. For those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, this may actually be, let's say you decided to take on a new course, or you decided to switch your course. You might at the last moment say to yourself, actually, I don't really know why I wanted to switch. I want to stay where I am. There's something that's shifting really quickly here. The paperwork, it looks like, is going to support this. So it's like maybe it hasn't gone through yet. For those of you that are working, like employed by somebody else, yeah, if you're employed by somebody else, this could actually be where you're either discussing or renegotiating maybe the contract that you have with your employer. It might also be where you're looking to break a contract, because you've got the Tower card here. It's actually possible. Like, if there's something you want to wriggle out of, this actually could be a very good week to do it. If for those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, I'm really sorry to say this, and I touch wood, if you've got employees, one of them could pull the rug out from underneath you this week by saying, actually, you know what, I can no longer do this job. It's not a bad thing. It leaves space for someone or something else. It may also be as well that you have a disagreement with an employee or somebody that you hire on a contract, you know, maybe a contractual basis or even a periodic basis, about what something looks like. And it will potentially be over the aesthetic. For those of you that are retired and no longer working, this week you might be called upon to work with or alongside somebody else that's having a challenge. So that's one way that this could show up as well. Like, maybe a family member calls you up and says, look, actually this is going on, it's quite serious, and I really need some help and some support. And you're totally on board for it because, you know, you're Cancerians, so that's what you do. For your love and relations, you've got the Seven of Swords. So this is not the easiest of energies. Technically here you do have 2 sevens, because the Tower card is number 16, 1 and 6 gives you 7. And then you've got the Seven of Swords. And if this is the case, one way that this could show up, if you're partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, this could be information that finds your ears, either about your significant other or something that they have hidden from you. And it's not that they've cheated or anything like that. It might be, let's say, you know, they had a problem paying a bill last month and they didn't want to tell you because they didn't want to worry you. I'm not so much worried about whatever information it is that finds you. I am, however, quite interested in who this person is and why they felt the need to make it their business to out your partner to you. It's almost like somebody trying to sow some seeds of discord this week. I'm not here for it. I don't like things like that anyway, and I'm not a big fan of the Seven of Swords. I'm sorry, dude, but it's not my favourite card. It really isn't. The other thing as well, remember what I said, your approach this week is going to be everything. And so if you are here whilst talking to your partner, if you're upset, be upset. Okay, that's fine. It's not fine to be all of this, you know, when you're upset with someone. You find a better way to do that. I had to learn this over a lifetime. That's why when people are like, oh, you know, Rastas love and light, I'm like, yeah, I wish you knew me 10 years ago. You'd be getting a much different version, for sure. For those of you that are single and looking, not this week, all right? Like, there's potentially many suitors. Well, I say many suitors. There's potentially 1 or 2 encounters. You don't know enough about this person as yet. That's what I'm going to say. Everyone has a past. We all do, as I just demonstrated. But your approach this week, like I say, it's kind of like, this is not a week for love. There's going to be so many great weeks for love. This is not one of them, okay? For your money and materials, you've got that 8 of Cups. So it is potentially something financial for those of you that are partnered, and it is something that you can work out quite easily as long as you're willing to do the work around how you feel about it. This is actually a really good week for a lot of you. It looks like you're looking at something that you've either overindulged in or overspent on, or maybe you're thinking about cancelling a payment, like a direct debit or whatever. And for a lot of you, you might come to realize that actually what you're buying, or this thing that you purchase or that you pay for each month, is an emotional buy. And you're kind of like, yeah, I don't actually really need this. For your physical health and vitality, this is going to be your feet, your toes and your ankles, but also your hormonal system. I'm not a doctor, I can't give medical advice, but I know what I see when I see it in my cards. Because you've got that 8 of Cups coupled with the Justice card, if you're having any hormonal problems, this week I would ask your significant other, ask your doctor to check your kidneys, okay? And then when it comes to your home and environment, home could be a little tense this week, I'm not going to lie, right? Because it's the 8 of Cups, and with all the other cards that are here, you might not feel like you're being so full on or potentially even aggressive, but you're being received that way. And sometimes this is really hard it's hard to perceive this, or it's hard to take on board. So this is why I say to you, this week, if someone says like, oh, you're being really forceful or really, really overbearing or really, aggressive in your approach, this is one of those few weeks where it is you, it's not the other person, okay? So just keep that in mind so that you can move through this week, and when you hear those words, hopefully you will remember me and you'll say, okay, you know what, I can adjust this, right? There's no better sign for changing, adapting, or even manipulating emotional energy than Cancer. But if you're not aware of it, you can't change it, right? So if it comes up, don't sort of retreat into the Cancer cave, as is our tendency. Just take it on the chin and say, okay, what can I do to shift this now? All right. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.